I'm just going to assume that it is generally working. Oh yeah, I can see the chat. Cool. Okay, Neil, we're live. We're waiting on Jamie to roll in, but I think he'll be here in a second. Dog, do you want to kick it off and just show me what you got before we get to the troubleshooting? You're just showing me some stuff on the vids.
Yeah. So it's been a fun week for me. I've had new devices and things like Rack have just got the new trackers, and they are absolutely tiny. And I mean, I put this on the dog collar and took the dog out for a walk, and it was mapped with LoRa. So it's just incredible how small they are. And it's just blowing my mind that this is the future of Helium for tracking, this kind of tiny little device. That was cool. Yeah. And the other one, I've had a 𝗏𝗏𝗏, one of the new European manufacturers at the moment. They got a V2 coming soon. I think they're selling to the States, but nice little box. It's always fun looking at a new hotspot making.
Yep, and they got something funky with a power cord, right? There's something that they've got to
Yeah, so they've taken a standard Raspberry Pi charger, an official one, but they've taken the cable out and they've replaced it with this barrel jack, and then they've soldered the barrel jack the other side onto the bottom of the Pi. But I'm in the UK, I can't use this, so I either have to make my own thing or cut a hole for the USB to the Raspberry Pi.
Got it.
So not a great design choice.
Not non-optimal. All right. Cool. Well, let's see. Have you got the Deliverance entry thing open? Andre, what's going on, dog? Bradley, Disco Chuck, and Carl Breeden. Hell yeah, Carl, you're here all the time. Neil, have you got the Deliverance entries thing open? Are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at?
Just rushing at it now to find it.
I can drop it into our little chat here. And if you guys are watching the stream, it should be in the description. It's like the top link. So you should be able to see both sides of this. You should be able to see, maybe it's the second link. You should be able to see the entry form where you enter all into your enter all your details in. And then you should also be able to see on the far side like what people have entered. So all that stuff's public. Don't put your, first and last name there, just your first name or your handle, whatever you want to be called. Keep it clean. And then all the deets so you guys can kind of watch and see what we're doing. We're going to start with, while I think Jamie's cruising on, Jesus and Mario. Is it 𝗚𝗏 or is it Alexander? We've been going back and forth with emails, but I'm not sure which one's your first name. Dubs is joining. Let's bring in the big dog.
I can't find it. I don't think he actually posted me the link anywhere.
No, he's coming in right now. I'm seeing him. Let me see if I can.
Hi.
There he is.
Hey.
Am I all yellow?
I'm not seeing you as a guest yet. I don't know why. Maybe you're guest one. Oh no, I'm not seeing your video at all. That's what's happening. Now you're all yellow.
Now I'm all yellow.
Now you're all yellow. And then while you get your, there you go, my man.
There we go.
Bring you in. Okay, so there's the three of us.
A little bit of feedback.
You've got something very loud, very high pitched.
There is something loud and high pitched. Yeah, that's probably the vacuum on my side. I decided that this would be a great time to schedule both this live chat and our cleaner. So let me see if I can turn that way down. Mute. So let's see. Guys, we're going to start off. I'll put myself on mute here in a second. We're going to start off with Damp Smoke Piranha. And Neil, do you want to share your screen and then talk people through that stuff? Are you seeing all that info?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the Deliverance, by the way. I can't see where you've linked it to me to look up the issues.
Huh.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. We all see the same thing?
Yeah, it's great.
It's Damp Smoke Piranha, right? So yeah, I always do just run it through. I've written a tool. Obviously, people have heard it. Just check the basics. Is it relayed? Is it online? Is it connected well? When I refresh this page, does the last peer connection update in a good way? Sometimes it takes a while to change, and then I'll do a test on the IP to make sure it's pingable. It looks good so far. It looks well connected.
Right on. I think the problem, so description of the problem was still getting invalids witness too close, 960 meters. And my other hotspot, Swift Shamrock Mallard, I'm getting RSSI too high. I think here's the question. With POCV11, is there anything I can do to fix these invalids, or is it the witnessed hotspot the issue, or their antenna and not my hotspot? I think that's the question.
Interesting.
It's very strong, but it's witness too close, which means normally that's scored before it even looks at the RSSI for witness too close. Right. I've seen, to be honest with you, I've seen the same thing on mine recently. That there are ones that are listed as invalid, but they're listed as 900 meters.
Right, which shouldn't be too close. It should be 300, right?
Mm-hmm. It should be 300, yeah, or 350. It depends on where you are in the hex, I think, as well. So,
got it. And then, Jamie, I'm sorry, I'm going to control freak here just due to the software. If you've got a screen you want to share, I think within the link that you're on right now, you should be able to share that screen, and then I can pull your screen into this main screen. Sorry, it's a little complicated. But if you want to do some other kind of DY ETL troubleshooting on it, I'm happy to pull that up.
So we can do multiple shares at once?
We can. I'm going to turn off Neil's screen. Actually, I'll get rid of that, and then I'll just have just your screen. So I think on the live, all they're seeing is just your screen, the damp smoke piranha and the hotspot details.
Great, let's go 16 by 9-ish here. How 16 by 9 are we?
We're pretty close. There you go.
Pretty close, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the complaint was just about this nearby hotspot not giving it any love.
I think so. It's just that it was too close. And really, is there anything they can do to fix that?
Look for challenge receipts. 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗏's challenge receipts dashboard that I can never remember the name of. Challenge receipt analysis.
There you go.
All right, damp smoke piranha.
That's how I remember it too.
Yeah, and so here we can get a kind of a breakdown of the witnesses, and then the part of this that I always love that's not in this hotspot details report is the actual breakdown of the neighboring hotspots. So you can see that there were 56 challenges each in the last 30 days that were ruled too close. But that was the thing. So Neil, you said that it's actually greater than 300 meters away and it's still reporting as witness too close?
Yeah, I'm seeing it in my own witnessing that if they can be marked at like 800 meters and still be listed as witness too close at the moment.
Interesting. And then I wonder, we can't do like a date range. I would be curious, like, to try, if I were easier, to basically try to shift this to be like pre-POC11, like what it look like. I think, do you remember that? But that was fairly recent, and these are invalid going way back, and this is pretty consistent. So these are hotspots witnessing this hotspot, and then this is top beacon transmitters. Your hotspot was an invalid witness too, and it's pretty equal both sides. Sometimes what I've observed when there's gaming going on is that only one side reports it as invalid rather than both sides. But this is a good sign that it's good and bad news. I have good news and bad news. But it's good that they're basically consistently reporting one another as invalid, at least.
Right, so they're not gaming. There's no indication of that.
Yeah, and then I'm not sure. It sounds like it might just be like, I would guess it's not a POC11 bug because it seems to predate the rollout.
Yep.
But I'm not sure what it would be if it is something else.
Dig it. And he's saying it's an H antenna 3 dBi, adjusted app to 2.6 dBi because of my 7 feet of LMR 400 and adapter connection. So I think the Bomber Crypto, the kind of, the answer is, it doesn't look like there's a lot you can do. It looks like you're doing everything right. I think the only thing we're finding with this is that it's just like some funkiness to the distance. It's gone from 300 to, I think Neil said 800 or 900, but no actions I think you can take. Are you guys agreeing with that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think so.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the wording. I think it's, it's too strong, so it's saying it's too close, but it's not the 350 meter thing that's saying, you know, same hex or too close, but it's actually failing it for some reason. But the invalid reason is, you know, just too strong.
I'm also, where is it on my map? Damp smoke, piranha. Usually it's in the middle, but I think my map might be. Is this asserted in the wrong place?
That's a good question.
Here
Bomber
we go.
Crypto,
Here's
have you
piranha.
been?
Here's
There we go.
piranha.
Okay, Yahtzee.
Here's piranha. Look at these two neighbors. Yeah, these are so close. 81 meters, 150 meters. So yeah, they will always be invalid.
Okay, super helpful. Let's.
Piranha.
Yeah,
Sorry for
piranha.
the loss.
I don't know. The only option is to move, or hope your neighbors move. Let's do. This guy's name is Jesus. Awesome. Hotspot name is Uneven Magenta Terrier. Outdoors roof mount Wi-Fi on grid. The antenna's on the apex of the roof, 2 meters above the roof line. That's great. Relatively flat area, but the miner is top of a hill. It's a small hill to the west, but open view otherwise. 5 meters of LMR 400. Just kind of the details. So here's the problem is that there's no witnesses, no beacons, and then it says a connection problem. 8 hours, the first 8 hours after the miner synced was picking up witnesses 30 kilometers away, and then it died off. Now virtually only miner witnessed is 700 meters away, and it barely beacons. I tried testing the connection with a mapping device and noticed RSSI drops off dramatically the further it gets and loses connection less than a kilometer away. I'm going to guess so far and say there's something wrong with the antenna, but we'll finish off the description. Had a spare miner, so I've asserted this to the same location on the same IP and relayed to verify signal. My second miner is sitting on my desk inside and is also hitting the miner that's 700 meters away, but actually has a higher RSSI. This leads me to believe it's a hardware issue. LMR 400 seemed decent, but was just off Alibaba. Maybe the dodgy connections. Don't understand why it looked like it was working fine at first and then totally died. It is an H antenna. Jamie, I see you rocking and rolling around. What are you seeing for Uneven Magenta Terrier?
Yeah, all right. Okay, so I see our deliverizer's 2 hotspots in one spot right here.
Yep.
Loud Maroon Raccoon, which is fantastic hotspot name. And then it really, let's check out where it says it hasn't heard anything from anyone. Did I get the name right? Oh, I spelled this wrong.
Right, and I think he was saying that it worked, like the big question was, why did it work at first and then it stopped? While you're looking at that, you're good? Go ahead, Jamie.
I'd say, yeah, so no witness on these first 2. It looks like it's beaconing semi-regularly, only 1-ish per day, which is kind of low, but I've noticed that more and more. And then the witness validity, it was a valid witness to, you know, these other 7 hotspots, mostly on the 14th, and then it's kind of dropped off. But on the 4th here, let me just lower it to 3 days so we can look closer.
Oh my God, is that Jeremy Cooper? Check beacons on Terrier. They're being witnessed at a quite low RSSI. Speaks to an antenna problem to me. Oh my God, Jerem, if I got to the antenna thing before you did, or I got it by myself, I'll be so pleased with myself.
Bring the man in.
Right? I'll see if I could.
That's exactly what I was looking at as well. The SNR and the RSSI on those is so low. It is almost drop off point, you know. Straight away you can tell that the RSSI is minus 120, but that's only in the same hex, you know. So the same hex, it's a minus 120 dBm, and the SNR's near minus 7. So it screams of a setup issue.
Yeah, I mean, isn't negative 120 like as low as it'll possibly allow?
It's negative 122, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little higher, isn't it? It might be 135 or 126 or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to find my. I used to just have that the POC 10 SNR curve, my desktop background for a little while.
Dig it. Okay, so I think the upshot with this Jesus is probably like antenna connection or some kind of hardware connection. That's what I'd be looking at. And if you got the LMR 400 off Alibaba, I don't know, like the quality can be really good on those, but it can also suck. That would be the first thing that I would check. Let's see. Oh, here comes Jeremy. I think when you turn your video on, Jeremy will see you. I think the best way to test that, or the way that I've tested that, is with just the God, what is the name of that little device? But it's just like seeing if the antenna actually has a decent reflection, and if it
Nano
decent visual.
VNA.
Yep.
Yeah, like a
Nano
VNA.
VNA?
Yeah.
Yep. A VNA. Thank you. Jesus, I can't think publicly.
It's because it's the holidays.
You can test cable with that as well. So you can feed the cable into both ends of the Nano VNA and test for loss and things. So you can see how good it is with one little device. Boom. There you go.
Damn, yeah, exactly. That thing. I've got all mine out in the
Who's
garage.
Show me your VNAs.
All right. Christ, I'm scrambling all over my room for shit. Okay. Next one up. And like, Jeremy, you've muted yourself. You're welcome to talk or put your camera on or whatever. I know you usually have some camera setup stuff that you got to do. Okay. So next one is, dude's name is Ed. 𝗷𝗄𝐬𝐿. The hotspot vital indos indoors on Wi-Fi. Disaster 1, get it off Wi-Fi. Description of the setup. These deployments are placed in windows with clear line of sight to the outside environment, but I'm getting no witnesses. So it seems to be a problem only involving, this I'm reading his description of the problem, only involving Bobcat 300 hardware using US 915 frequencies. All the Bobcat 300s in Trinidad and Tobago have not witnessed any beacons over the past 7 days. Okay. Do you guys want me to stop there? You guys got Trinidad and Tobago stuff, or what are you thinking?
Was that on the list of bugged regions?
Probably.
Could be. Let's see. I've submitted feedback to the Trinidad and Tobago Telecommunication Authority. 2 questions. It seems that Bobcat miners cannot automatically switch frequencies depending on where they're deployed, US 915 versus AU 915. And for this reason, the AU 915 and US 915 can't hear one another. Is this the reason all these miners can't witness each other? Possibly.
Yeah, it'll be POC v11.
What's that, Neil?
It'll be POC v11 where
POC
it's kicked in and force the regions to where they're located to. It is probably undefined in the definition for LoRa, so they don't know what region to set it to. And a lot of that is that there's no official documentation to list what region to use. Like some won't have laws to say, and then some will be regulated, but there's just nothing public about it to be able to list it. And Helium has said that because of the holiday period, it's not going to be until the new year that some of these are going to be fixed.
Got it. Okay, and the other thing I'm seeing is, why would managers of the LoRa Alliance pair us with AU 915 and justify it by saying many other countries in your region, blah, blah. Man, I don't know. I think that's like a political question, definitely not like a hotspot troubleshooting question. I wish I had better information for you, but I don't. Okay, and now, dude, we got like the wizard in the world of radio and helium. Jeremy, welcome, dog.
Oh, my goodness.
Germ.
Hey, everyone. I was really excited to see all of this radio talk, so nice to see you guys here.
Hey,
It's radio talk. What's great about the Hotspot Hotline is that everybody has their own unique approach.
Yeah, let's do the next one. I mean, I'm not sure what I'm contributing here other than getting to talk, which I fucking love. All right, this guy's name is Levi, small Viridian cat, indoors and off grid. That's interesting. Rack miner feeds LMR to layered 3 dB. Connectivity is via Cradlepoint 4G with Verizon static IP and port forwarded. Sorry about the vacuum noise. Problem category is relay, no beacons, no witnesses. Okay, and description of the problem. This site was great for months. In November, it started performing poorly. Would go offline, relay, and unsync. We replaced the miner with a new one, replaced the Cradlepoint with a new one. Made no difference. We got a new IP from Verizon. Went from one to another. The site continues to go unsynced, offline, and then back online. Relayed and unrelayed site is now at my shop during the troubleshooting attempt. It is on an antenna that sees at least 10 witnesses at this time. Who wants to take that? Who wants to kick that off?
I will.
All right.
I will. The first thing that I see is the ping time on it is all over the show. So it's jumping from 200 to 900 milliseconds. So it tells me that the connection's not stable. And then the whole reason of it going relayed sometimes is that when the hotspot goes offline, it might try to reset the connection up with a router, and then it will set it up via a relay link. So it will jump between the twos. It looks like a really unstable connection to me.
Okay, so the Wi-Fi is the issue. Are you guys seeing anything different? Jeremy or Jamie?
What was the hotspot name?
It was 𝗫𝗏𝗀𝗀.
Okay. And are you guys watching some screen that I'm not?
I think
On the YouTube?
Yeah, I think those guys are watching. They may be watching YouTube. In fact, no, I'll drop this deliverance entries thing into our chat, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, and I'm actually just debugging a DUI ETL query that I broke.
Okay.
Someone broke. It became broken.
Someone is broken. And I think while we're doing that, Ocean Blue had asked, what's the link to the stuff we've been looking at? I think Jamie uses all ETL DY, so that should be on the screen now. And Neil is using heliumstatus.io. That should also be on the screen. You guys can look those up. I think those are also, the links are in the description on this video, so you can see them whenever you want. Yeah. I'll pull those back off. All right, so for small Viridian cat, you guys got anything? What are you thinking?
I'm loading it now.
Yeah, I think so. This goes, Ed, or no, sorry, Levi. Levi, I know we had a ton of problems with a lot of the off-grid hotspots in early, was it November? And there was I think they got caught up in some anti-gaming stuff that Helium was doing, and then Helium backed that stuff off. But obviously all that stuff is kind of black box because we don't want to let the gamers know what they're doing. So I think on that end, what I did for all of mine was I left them alone and I let them not earn. And I just said, hey, there's not a bunch I can do other than have like a great setup and walk away. I don't know if there's a better answer for that. And Jeremy, if you want to weigh in, you can on that. Because I know
I'm still checking in on here. I mean, a lot of those turn out to be seed node issues and rapid improvements on those. So anything that was caught by that should be doing much better now. So yeah, okay. So last beacon I see here was witnessed 6 days ago. And I'm gonna check. Let's see, let me see how interesting the screen share is on this. Oh, cool. I have to be on Google Chrome. I used the wrong browser. So one of the things I do is we just check at the P2P layer.
Yeah, I gotta.
Which you can't see, but I'm basically using a miner to do a miner command line. And it doesn't have to be asserted miner. It's one you just run it at home. And I know node peer. Let's do a peer ping /P2P. Put in that address. I'm just going to see how well it's on the P2P network right now, if at all. So I got a not found. There we go. Usually I have to do this twice. Okay, I did get a ping, 275 milliseconds. And I'm doing it at the P2P layer.
Cool. And
okay,
so
good.
I think, Neil, you're the one
do.
sharing the Helium status, and Jeremy's just kind of talking through how he's using probably a slightly different tool. Is that right?
That's how we've all done it for years. It's like literally everyone's been doing
I'm
a
old
command
school.
line like this. Yeah, that's how we've all learned it. And then I just did it on the website, basically.
Okay.
So I do see an IP address here. Did you share that? It's currently in the 166.155. Yep. So I see that's going on. And it is up at least. But those ping times are remarkably all over the map. Like you said, Neil, I'm seeing as high as 730 milliseconds in one attempt. So, went up to 900 milliseconds. There's definitely latency on the connection.
There's something to be said about the observed address that you can pull up from a peer book and then versus what's in the API. It's often a sign if they don't match that the gossip hasn't spread around the network. It's been noticed amongst a few users. So if your observed listen address is different from the one that's reported on the API, that's a sign that the gossip hasn't spread. So you're not dialable. So that can be a sign as well. And if it's swapping between IP and relay, that's just going to have a lot of effect.
So, like, Upshot, is there anything they can do, or just have things set up and have the ports open and then walk away and do something else productive? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
Try and look at the stableness of the connection and just leave it for a few days to settle in.
Got it. All right. I think I can go back and share the screen. So this is what I'm looking at, which is the deliverance entries. Let's do the next one. That way we're all looking at the same thing, even the folks on the live stream as well. Fernando, tame lava wolf, outdoors roof mount, Ethernet, and on-grid. Dude, so far sounds pretty good. 75 meters of PoE, 110 meters high. Good heavens. Rack 8 dBi antenna. clear lines of sight, unusually low earnings. Okay, so we get this unusually low earnings a lot. I'm not saying, Fernando, that it's not unusual, but let's see, making less than my other miner that is at 20 meters with 5.8 between houses. Cool. It's hard to say like what making less is without totally looking into it. If one of you guys wants to pull it up on Explorer, we can jump over to that. But I think across the board, what we're seeing is that, and what we're going to continue to see is as the network grows, all of the miners are going to make less because we're slicing up the same size pie in smaller and smaller chunks as more and more hotspots come on the network. So that's kind of the deal. I'll pull in, let's see, Neil's stuff here. Neil, are you seeing anything on this that's jumping out at you?
Just looking through it at the moment. That's some.
Remind me the name again, Nick.
𝗵𝗏𝗀𝗏. Cool, and I'm
I
seeing.
fixed my nearby hotspots query. I broke it. So I think I saw 2 lava wolves.
Okay.
With lava goldfish.
I'm gonna
By the
put-
way, I love how global all these are.
Okay, so we're looking at both Neil's and Jamie's screen. I think right now I think that's who it is.
Sweet.
Yeah, Jamie, you're running the ETL stuff, and Neil's running on Explorer.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, look at this upgrade in witnessing power. If you can.
Huh. And I'm curious, Fernando, if you're on, if you know what happened on that date. What date was that where it jumped, Jamie?
Looks like December 11th was kind of the first full day.
Okay.
And I mean, it really like tripled the quantity of witnessing, with the exception of like the last 2 days, but that's just like regular old radio.
Okay. Yeah. La Leyenda
then-
Tijuana. All right.
I'm set. This is the chart I was trying to fix. This is my most useful chart here, this nearby hotspots list,
Okay.
but I broke it.
And this one is down in
Looks like
TJ,
you got-
down in Tijuana. Okay. Super cool. If I'm
Yeah, downtown Tijuana too.
rad. It's right on the border. Okay. Super cool.
Yeah, this should be it seems like a great spot, especially if it's configured like how you described. And then, yeah, earnings wise, it's down, but like to your point, we always need to be doing inflation adjusted earnings, which is really hard to do.
Yep.
I would expect it to be substantially up from here because this is like, I mean, look, you did 23 valid witnesses on the 11th, and then 9 on the 3rd, and the 11th was 0.2 H&T, and the 3rd was 0.23 H&T, so it's the same. And then let's check the reward scale. What did I say? This was on the 11th. So it's on the 11th, it dropped to 0.67, and on the 3rd it was 0.93. So I think you are the victim of reward scale changes.
Ah, nice. Nice, dude.
It's
always
dropped
good to see
further
it.
from there too.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's down to 0.5. So really, that's why, because this is like everything in this region would have been affected the same way by these reward scale changes.
Yep.
So this is Tame Wolf. Here's Tame Wolf. Yeah, it looks pretty crowded in these zones. I'm not good enough at Hotspotty to do this quickly, but you could basically like, what happens if I move this over the border and
Right.
see if it changes for some of the reward scale shenanigans. There's an ethically allowed quantity of hex pushing.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go on record and say within 150 meters, I feel like that's totally fine, solely for privacy reasons. Obviously, people are going to
Yeah.
use that for clearing a hex. But yeah, just to keep your privacy,
Right.
150 meters seems like it's probably not going to get picked up.
I
by
see
the
something
network.
interesting about
Shoot.
the witness reports on Team Level.
Sure, bring it
It's
in.
something I do want to talk about. It's important the community to notice this. Yeah, okay. Can you guys go to Explore for Tame Lava Wolf?
Enhance.
Let's take a look at the last beacon that was witnessed.
You might be able.
Enhance.
You should be able to share your screen as well, German. I can just pull that in.
I can't because I'm on the wrong browser. I have to hang up and do it again.
Okay.
Wrong browser,
Sorry.
and then it'll be like you'll have to do the accessibility dance if you're on the Mac. If you're on Linux, it'll just be like
Yep.
cast
Yep.
a magic spell.
Fucking geeks. All right.
So Nick, if you can look at the last witness beacon in here 1 hour ago, and tell me what you think of that RSSI and SNR.
Let's have a look.
So I see an RSSI of -68.
Yeah, it's
and
super,
a
super
signal to
strong.
noise ratio of 0.5 dB. So that
Okay.
means that the noise in this region is about -68.5 noise floor.
Walk me through what
You
that
see
means.
that?
Yeah, please translate.
I see it, but I don't
Yeah,
understand it.
absolutely. So I see a very strong signal, but I don't see an impressive SNR at the same time. Signal to noise ratio is the ratio of the noise, which we can't see, to the signal, which is the RSSI. So what you can do every time you see a signal report, you can say, okay, how strong was the signal? That's the RSSI.
Yep.
But the next thing you want to do is like how noisy. It's sort of like if I was at a party where a lot of people were shouting and we just couldn't hear each other, you would have a hard time hearing me, even though we're yelling face to face. And the way this shows up in radio is you see the RSSI is high, relatively high. -68 is enormous. That's just like it's saying, hey, I can hear you really loudly, but the SNR tells me I'm not able to understand you very well. This is like being in a crowded party where there's a lot of people shouting, and you can't just look at the RSSI alone because it tells you how loud people are shouting. The SNR tells you how much other people are shouting at the same time. If I see a signal here that says RSSI -68 and the signal to noise ratio is only 0.5 dB, it should be pinned at 13 dB. Let's go to another one. Go down to before the beacon.
Nice, Neil. You're rocking the Explorer, dude.
Right? So I see another one. 𝗵𝗏𝗶 witnessed a signal -89 dBm, but the SNR was still only 2. That tells me that the noise floor in this region is at -91. That's very high. It's fluctuating between the -60s and -70s. Traditionally, you want to see noise floor in the ambient environment about -110 would be fantastic. So what's going on here is this hotspot is being crushed by some local radio transmitters. It's in an environment that has a lot of radio noise in other bands possibly, or in the ISM band. It's unable to hear only until the strongest transmissions nearby. It's literally telling us that, hey, there are people shouting around me all the time and I cannot hear anything except the occasional person who punches through. And this can happen.
Cool.
I'd love to see where this is installed. If this is on a roof where there's other powerful radio transmitters nearby, you're going to need to get a filter. We can talk about that later. But this is a classic example of something I am starting to see.
Yep. And so that would be a bandpass filter, and that would be like a 2-meter vertical offset kind of thing. Like that's the standard stuff.
2-meter vertical offset, like where you install it?
Yeah, between the antennas. So the thing I was seeing early on, let me see if I can change the camera so you guys can see what we're doing, is that you could put in bandpass filters, right? And that'll filter out some of that noise. And then the other thing that I saw in one of the papers, I promised to get a link up and I haven't gotten it up yet, was that they were getting a ton of utility out of just having a 2 vertical meter offset between antennas. So if this is on a cell tower, is just making sure this is 6 feet higher or lower than something else. Jamie, what do you got, dog? Look at you going Matrix.
No, I'm just testing my filters. I'm just
so beautiful.
You can ignore me.
Neil, what are you seeing, dude?
I see the same thing. I'm interested with Germ because I've been looking at my own setups recently and looking at SNR. How did you do that calculation to know what the noise floor was? So what?
Oh, it's easy. You get it's really complicated. First, you take the RSSI, and then you subtract the SNR. So it's arithmetic. 68, if we go to the very first example, an RSSI of -68 and a signal to noise ratio of 0.5, you subtract 0.5 from 68 or -68 and you get -68.5. Literally take the RSSI, subtract the SNR, and you will arrive at the noise signal.
I don't think many people in the community know that at all. I don't think they're looking at SNR values.
And
just
I
so
think it's something we can improve in the Explorer to help show that, or like a report, kind of say, what's my average noise level in this area? It's an important thing to see, and I'm seeing it starting to become more important as we get more and more crowded radio environments. This is something radio engineers know, but the hotspot community is not quite aware of yet.
I'm seeing the radio geeks come alive over in the chat talking about, Andre, is the noise caused by a linear element or non-linear? Hans is all fired up. You guys are in the radio. Olav's like, yeah, dude, go with this radio talk. So nice work.
Is there Do you have like a guess, Jeremy, as far as what the sources of the noise could be?
Now, this is where it gets really tricky. Because it's only represented as a noise figure here, as a decibels milliwatt, all we can kind of get at, it's impossible to figure out what's going on. Really, in some of the toughest situations, the noise is coming from a signal completely out of band. Like you could have someone transmitting 100 watts at 50 megahertz, which is 1/10 of 900 megahertz, right? It should not have any problem differentiating between 900 megahertz and 50 megahertz, except that only works to a certain extent. Every radio needs what we call a front end filter to help filter out frequencies that aren't intended before it gets into the amplifier section. Once you start amplifying radio signals and they distort the amplifier, the distortion creates this mess in your radio signal that cannot be filtered out. And once it gets past through that stage in your radio, you're done. Anything that's punching through your front end filter and getting distortion in your mixer element or amplifier element will cause issues like this where you see noise. It's like, why is my noise floor so high? So that's one case of a non-linear element causing noise mixing in and such that you can't filter out. The nice thing about those questions about linearity is linear parts of the radio can help filter out of band signals. But once you get a nonlinear element in there, things get really nuts. So it could be a nonlinear element that's causing front end overload. It could be something in band that there's, like in one case, I think I helped someone who had a hotspot in France and was having horrible noise issues. And it took us a while to even get there. But then I asked, are there other things in the building that might be, using the 800 band? He said, I don't know. How about you have an old wireless video system that predates digital Wi-Fi? He said, yes. Turned out there was an old security camera system using the same free network bands. And if you have one of those old cameras next to a hotspot, it will just crush it. And that's kind of noise. So noise can come from many different sources, and it takes some training and some tools. Getting one of those VNAs is really handy if you start having problems like this. It can also help you analyze this.
Totally. Yeah, I was able to actually use my VNA to discover that like I had just blown a concentrator at one point. Like I was perplexed why this hotspot just was not working at all. And then I was like, it turns out I could remove everything from it and it still can't produce a signal. So it was like, oh, I just fried my concentrator. Yeah.
Love it. All right. I'll put in a pretty quick plug for Gristle King. If you liked what Jeremy just said, or you just wanted to keep up, or you just wanted to watch it again, we've got an interview with me and him releasing where he talks about the kind of origins in this like NASA story. He's one of my fucking favorite people in all of Helium, so I'm super excited to watch it. So keep an eye on the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, smash all the crap you're supposed to smash. But yeah, it's awesome. Okay, I'm seeing the radio geeks, like they're super pumped on this, but I think we should move on to the next piece because I think we can talk radio all day. That's kind of a feature and a bug with radios that you get hooked into it and then don't stop. So the next one is Rapid Zinc Orca. Guy's name is Hassan. Outdoors, Ethernet connected on grid. It's in a bit of a valley, however, hotspots close by are doing relatively well. It's an outdoor enclosure with long Ethernet wire leading into the building. It's got unusually low earnings. So this is just another unusually low earnings thing. I think we might see a lot of these, and I'll start skipping over them. And he's like, hey, how come I've got bad earnings and I've got a good antenna? Which is like a fundamental question of Helium. 6.5 dBi from McGill. Neil, do you want to?
Can you say the device name one more time for me?
Sure.
Nick? So sorry.
Yeah, Rapid Zinc Orca.
I'll give that one a 7 out of 10 on name. Pretty good.
Okay. The ranking system by Jamie.
Yeah. If you get Angry Purple Tiger, you're a 10 out of 10.
Okay. That's a winner chicken dinner. All right. So I'm going to start pulling us off. And Neil, this is you on Helium status.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's showing offline.
Always be checking that P2P.
Yeah, it's failing on ping. And it's also got a random port, so it's telling me that he's got universal plug and play likely on his router. And again, where his observed address doesn't match the API address, is probably having a period of downtime. So it looks like you want to go in and do the port forwarding manually to me to bring it back to this address.
That's interesting. So you think the UPnP the like you see you're seeing random port, you see UPnP, you jump to like this is the router being bad.
Yeah, yeah,
There you go.
all the time. The amount of
And one way
times
to
I've
test it
seen it
again,
on
if you
my
have
own
the
startups. Oh, sorry. Go on.
got a little lost there. One way to test that again is, and I don't know if this tool has the ability to try to do a ping, but you can try to ping at the advertised address there on the P2P layer, and very often you find it doesn't work, and that means that the UPnP is messing with the miner and saying, look, you should be able to hear yourself on this port, and so the miner trusts that information and publishes that port, but it turns out that port is actually not mapped, and so it's done the worst thing possible, which is told the miner doesn't need to be relayed and told it to publish an address that can't be reached at, and that's why UPnP can get real messy in these cases. The way to kind of see that, just to help enhance that, is Neil's very good. He knows when he sees an unusual port number there's a chance that UPnP is not mapped properly. But if you use a ping tool, you can really confirm that for yourself. So I would trust that judgment.
Dig it. And what's the Jamie? What do you got going on? I see you're looking at it over on the.
Yeah. Okay. So Orca here was just having a really great time up until November 22nd. And so what I was trying to double check was this gap kind of looks like I moved the hotspot gap, would be my guess.
Okay.
And you can see it kind of slowly warming up.
Yep.
Like I'm going to guess like December 7, 8 is when new antenna came into picture.
Okay. Yep.
And the complaint was not enough H&T, right?
Where's my money?
What was the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's witnessing very like pretty solidly, like 40 plus witnesses per day, as we have discussed many times on this beloved radio program, is pretty good.
Show number 2, folks.
Show number 2, but the reward scale here is just murdering you.
Yeah.
Down to 0.25.
Yeah,
And
Hans
then
had seen that over in the chat.
Everybody in this area is down at 0.5 or less. I wish my report here was working and you could see it a little more easily on the left, but 0.47, 0.58. You might be able to do some ethically acceptable hex shenanigans.
Man, good luck.
Maybe like
it's too big.
Pull it up here.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
if you're
I'm not
right
sure.
near the line on a res 8, but man, that's or like on any of the res lines. But if you're not near the line, it doesn't look like it is.
Totally, and it's such like a funky game too, because it's like you're just trying to like the difference of one hotspot with the hex math is generally like nil or temporary at best. So it's arguably kind of not totally worth it, but yeah, I'm guessing this hotspot got moved during this period because this is like a substantial difference in the amount of witnessing that's happening. But it only first came online on the 17th, so I'm not sure. But if you can move it back to wherever it was here in late November, I would do that because they both had a much higher reward scale as well as like way more witnessing activity.
Dig it. All right, next one I got is let's see. That was Hassan's Rapid Zinc Orca. Looks like he's got another one, Feisty Orchid B. And this one is relayed and massive drop in earnings. So I think I'm going to start skipping these massive drops in earnings because I think we've hammered this enough. It's pretty straightforward. But for this next one here, let's see if I can show this. Yeah, Feisty Orchid B. On the 13th floor, stock antenna Nebra. Relayed issue, although ports have been opened. Yeah, what are you guys thinking?
Kind of crowded area. We're in England, huh? I really like this 5K data credits day. It's my kind of day right here, November 19th.
Yeah.
It otherwise looks pretty consistent, and honestly, this slope of this average line here is like
normal.
It's like the slope. Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's like the reward slope. I wish I had a chart handy to see what the actual slope was for the average hotspot, but it is roughly slightly downwards. So,
yeah,
offhand, the reward, the earnings look essentially consistent with what I would expect.
Yep. I think about the only thing you could do is to get back to, is to get the thing outdoors. It's on Ethernet right now. I mean, you can kind of do, like, there's these fundamental pieces to a good hotspot, which is get the antenna outdoors, get it up high, get it, and most importantly, get it in the right location. If it's not in the right location, it doesn't really matter the rest of the stuff that you're doing, your host.
It's my favorite maker hotspot. Sorry.
Oh, you love Nebra, don't you?
Don't use the standard antenna on those. They are not tuned well.
And this is the
That's
Nebra,
all I'll
right?
say. Yeah.
We're going into Bambi mode. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
And
I was just reading the Deliverance, and he was saying that he's on a stock stock antenna Nebra. So there's two things with that. Like, one, people don't realize is that the antenna's on the back of the hotspot, so you're blocking signal one direction because there's a hotspot in front of it. So you really want to get it off and move it up and outdoors if you can. Just try and get it as high as you can and off the stock antenna. And on Nebras, make sure it's wired in Ethernet all the time.
dig it. All right. Let's see. Got a couple more here, and then we got some stuff in the chat. Let's see if there's anything interesting. Anything else interesting? Oh yeah, this guy, 𝗵𝗁𝗶𝘀𝗁𝗆 sangria jellyfish, and it's a beacon and witness problem, Jamie. So I know you love that shit. Wobbly sangria jellyfish, outdoors, roof mount, Ethernet on grid. So far everything sounds good. It's placed optimally is what they're saying, but the problem is that there's no beacons, no witnesses, unusually low earnings, sudden drop in anything. I've been on GitHub posting my issues. One update helped a little, then it went right back to the issues from before. So I'll see if I can pull in some screens here and pull off some people. And Jamie, you want to walk us through it?
Yeah, looks pretty sparse. 3 beacons last week, nothing before that. The area looks really sparse. 3.5 kilometers, 1.2 kilometers. Oh, wait, which ones are jellyfish?
Yeah.
Okay, jellyfish it's got whale here, 500 meters away, 1.2 kilometers. It's just kind of a sparse area. I'd be curious about the topography, I guess. Reward scale looks good. I say, like, get some hotspots for your neighbors, you know?
Buy a bunch of hotspots and send them to neighbors. Dig it.
Works every time.
Yeah.
I'm noticing something with this one also. I mean, it's not relayed, but it's also not online right now. It's not reachable at its published address, not pingable. And that's unusual. I mean, if usually when you got a good port forwarding thing going on like this, it should be reachable and on all the time. So I would check, is it powering down somehow?
Oh yeah, I can't connect to it either. And it's using 44158 too, so it's
yeah, do you see that? Yeah, I see that 75 address, and
yeah.
So that's strange.
Do you use Miner to try to connect? I straight up just telnet now.
I use a node.
I
use a blockchain node just because it does the peer book and everything. So
libp2p, who needs it? Just telnet.
Yeah, okay, there's a lot of shit that just went on there that you guys probably need to explain to people that don't know what's going on, including me. Can you guys walk through what you just saw and how you might fix any of that stuff? And let's start maybe Jamie with you, and then Neil, I know you got something else to jump in on this.
Yeah, I mean, the fast one is just that it's not a very busy area, as you can see from this little map that I've got going on.
Yep.
I forget what we were looking at. We're looking at jellyfish, but you can see jellyfish like. Can you see my mouse with the screen share? Yeah.
I can move it over there. Yeah. Let's see. You're over here.
I could kind of like, there's like a circle around any given hotspot that goes out like a kilometer as a radius, which is like, that's like your like reasonable distance that you're going to be able to talk to other hotspots. And there's really only about 3 other hotspots in that region. And then depending on the topography, like you won't really be able to talk to them. I can even actually just check the challenge analysis. But basically, there's just not enough hotspots in the area for it to be a particularly high earning hotspot. It's a fast version.
And then you guys jumped into telnet and libp2p and all kinds of geeky crap. Is that just like, that's kind of computer geek stuff, how you're doing the stuff that Neil is making really easy for the rest of us? Or is there something else that I should know or anyone should know?
No, you pretty much hit on the nail on the head, which is it's a geeky thing that Neil's made easy for you to do. We're just using the old school command line and other ways of doing TCP connections. No mouse involved. It's all typing. So it's very annoying. And not very app friendly. You can't do it on the phone very easily.
Okay.
So just use Neil's app. You got ads on there yet?
No,
Yeah, it's
no,
coming.
no.
And then I
All right.
saw
Buy an NFT for Neil's service. It's token gated. There's only 1,000 access.
That's so good.
tokens
Come on,
allowed.
don't destroy our hopes and dreams, Jamie. The NFT tokens are that's the
Got 'em.
future of.
He needs a business model.
Yeah. Let's see. I think is it
You
Vishal
can,
the
you can
which
monitor
one-
your hotspots on them. So
What's that?
You can ping them every hour if you want. That's the monetization of it. So you
pretty
can
good.
ping them, and it also connects to them every hour as well. So it proves that the software's working for you and notifies you if you need to. It doesn't
I
need to
see
do anything.
Wishplorer is on here and he's saying this is over in the chat, just throwing this out there for visibility. You can also do peer ping and peer book with HikerBot right in Discord. So if you don't want to leave Discord, get on there and check that out. Let's do some live stuff. There's this dude, 𝗏𝗏 says orbiting carbon 𝗫𝐶𝐵𝐴. That's all the details we have. I would like to see if you guys can kind of see what you think might be wrong with it, and then get in and see how they might fix it.
Oh, I think there's two.
There's two of them. Okay. Let's see.
No,
I'm
were you
sorry,
saying we
that
have a
was
name
Bamboo.
collision?
That was Bamboo.
Okay.
No, Bamboo. I'm sorry. I love a good name collision.
All right. So I've got, I
For
think,
trivia, I'll look up the one triple we have.
yeah, it's orbiting carbon 𝗫𝐶𝐵𝐴. I see
Looks
Amelia
nice. Look
looking
at the
that up and
distance
someone's
on this. How far away is this? 29 kilometers?
Easy shot.
Yeah, it doesn't have many
Look at it.
nearby neighbors. It looks like it's got to go a long ways to hear everyone.
It's doing it though. Look at this. I mean, we're getting 15 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 30 kilometers.
Okay, now Kenneth is jumping in. Orbiting carbon 𝗫𝐵𝐴 is a roof mount, outdoor Ethernet. It's a Nebra. Neil, your favorite. What is better, an antenna that is mounted to something that does not move at all, or mounted to something with some flex? Jeremy, this is your baby. You love this radio shit.
Very
Well,
specific.
it's kind of funny. I once saw an argument. Someone argued back in the Helium Slack days, which is a long time ago, brought up a paper and said, you want to make certain that your antenna doesn't vibrate at all because it's going to induce Doppler shift into the LoRa signal, and LoRa is all about Doppler shift itself, and you're going to have a horrible time. I actually laughed it off the stage, at least laughed it off the stage in my mind, because you'd have to be going a fraction of the speed of light to get a Doppler shift in a 900 megahertz signal like that. So it's best if you can have the antenna stationary, at least so you can make certain it stays level. Antennas radiate in all directions, particularly kind of like the higher the gain, and I see this does say it has an 8 dBi on it, nice, very high gain antenna. It's going to sort of, it's a pole, but it tends to radiate from the sides of its pole. So really antennas radiate their most energy in the direction that makes them look longest to you. So if you take a long antenna, it's going to radiate out the sides. It's so hard to draw this like a pencil.
Sure.
Okay, you've got this pencil. It's going to radiate this way. Now, if I point this pencil at you, it's very small in area, which means an antenna shaped like this, pointed, if you're at the top of the antenna, a monopole like this, you're not going to get much energy out of it. So again, antennas radiate strongest in the direction where you can see them longest. So if you have an antenna on a pole that's moving around like this, that means that its radiation pattern is going to be dipping and rising across the horizon, and you wouldn't really want to do that. So that's one reason why you wouldn't want to put on something flexible. But you might have other criteria, like maybe the flexible thing is taller than the steady thing you have. But just be aware that radiation patterns, especially for high gain antennas, they're kind of narrow and flat coming out of the side of it in all directions. And you don't want that antenna to move. It's gonna make it hard for you to guess if you're doing well at it. Over time, you can kind of say, all right, I generally receive well in all directions, but a moving antenna causes problems.
Dig it. All right. Keep your antenna stable. Let's see. Hockey Cannon, I see that you're wanting us to look at sweet quartz shell. We got a little bit of time left, so I want to do, and reassure me I should stick with the H antenna versus going back to the rack 5.8. I don't want to climb on the snowy roof again. All right. Get some microspikes, climbing that roof again. Always be testing. That's the deal.
Can you say, Nick, can you give me the name one more time? I'm sorry.
Sure. Sweet quartz shell. That's the one.
Sweet Court Shell, rack wireless, located in, where are we in the world?
All right, I'm always looking for the lakes. It's like,
I
where in
know.
America
Yeah,
am I?
yeah,
Oh, there's
yeah,
the Great
totally.
Lakes. Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota. And then,
Nice. Of course, you know exactly where that is, Jeremy.
Because I use Explorer and it tells me right when I type it.
it's right there. It's just right there. This looks pretty great. I mean, he's earning a half, third of an H&T per day.
Yeah.
20 to 30 witnesses per day. It's been pretty consistent since the end of November.
Hockey Cannon, when did you switch the antenna? That'd be my question. Because if you went from a 5.8 to a 3 and we're seeing a drop on a specific day, then maybe that's useful information.
Yeah. I mean, I would guess it's here on the 18th, especially considering it was offline here on the 16th, unless that was the downtime.
Sure. Suburbs
Or
of
it might
Minneapolis.
be,
Yeah,
it might be on the 19th here where it had this slow day.
Yep. I think the chat is just catching up.
Yeah, and then if this was the antenna swap and it's only been 3 days, I would just vote more time. Like, this is pretty
I'd
consistent.
guess the 18th as well. I'd guess the 17th or 18th he's done this. It's just dropped right
I
down.
always love it. Totally, because it's like you have to disconnect the hotspot, so it needs to resync, which is so funny. So it's
he
like
says
so
4 days
predictable
ago.
to be able
All
to
right.
spot.
Yeah, just let it
All right,
give it
cool.
some time.
Yeah, so Hockey Cannon, I would give it a couple more days. It's not looking good so far, but it's so hard to say. Because honestly, it could just be, there's so many reasons why it can have an off couple of days besides the antenna. I always give it like a minimum of a week, so I would let it marinate and then revisit next episode.
Yeah.
Here's a quick thing to do is, again, if you think you have antenna issues, I really like beacons because when you beacon, you know who you are and you can kind of get a sense of if you have neighbors who hear you. Like I'm seeing that this hotspot never maxes out the beacons, the 18 witness beacon. So there's a good chance in any one beacon you're going to have common neighbors between one beacon and the next. And you can look generally, like if you see a hotspot, so let me go to the nearest beacon I see on Sweet Court Shell, which was 1 day ago. We beaconed, we got 15 witnesses, only one invalid. So let's take a look here. Let's take a look. One neighbor, Sweet Garnet Cat, heard this beacon at -108. So let's keep that in mind. -108 on this latest beacon. I'm going to go back to like at least several days ago. Let's go back to this beacon. That was a 0 beacon. Hate those days. The beacon 7 days ago. And I'm going to see if we can see Cat. Sweet Garnet Cat's in there. Heard at -108 as well. So that's pretty consistent. Assuming that was the same and different antennas, it's nice to see at least if I just memorize everything properly, Sweet Garnet Cat, and it was -108 across 2 different beacons. That tells me that the antenna didn't drastically change. Again, looking at the last beacon, Sweet Garnet Cat, -108. Yeah. So yeah, this may be a case of just waiting a few more days. If I had seen a rapid change, like let's say it was -108 and it used to be -80, that would be a huge drop in RSSI. And then I would say there might be something wrong with your new antenna or the cable to it, but I don't see that yet.
Super
He's also
interesting.
listed as relayed right now. So where he's turned it off, it's not done the port forwarding again. So it's probably a bad couple of days whilst that's been updating.
Yeah, so this goes to like we see this all the time. Is like, oh, I switched my antenna out and the thing's a disaster. Is that there's so many variables right now on the network in general. Is that you get at least 3 experts on this call, and they're telling you like, hey, there's like a couple different things on here that could be going wrong. You really have to pay attention to everything, and that's why it's so important to do these longer tests, the 7 days versus 3 days, going in there. Okay, I got one more that I wanted to knock out.
I have a friend.
Go ahead.
Go for it. There's a saying that a friend of mine got into and said, "Don't pout, zoom out." So,
love it.
Use more data.
All right, so the next one is medicine. Let's see, flat magenta chipmunk is what we're going to do, and this is an original HNT miner, one of the first 500. It's indoor, 2nd floor apartment. Has a, let's see if I can bring you guys over into this thing. 10-foot LMR 400 cable that runs to an outdoor 5.8 dBi antenna, 5 meters up from the ground. All those stats are updated in Helium, but blah, blah. You guys can read this stuff. Okay. Jeremy, I think you've got one of the OGs as well.
I've got a few things in here. So
Shoot.
Do we have any evidence of antenna changes?
Let's see.
There's a peculiar thing that can happen with the very early OGs. I have one right here. I have one of my OGs. Yes. Okay, I'm going to show you something.
Hang on a second. Let me switch over to, let me go to guns here. All right. What do you got?
This is an OG. I want you to notice, if you can't,
Yep.
All right. You see that SMA connector?
Mm-hmm.
Does that look interesting to you, Nick? This is...
Is it not an RP?
It's not an RP.
Oh, thank
The
God.
very early OGs are normal polarity SMA connectors. And this can be very bad if you attempt to take one of these and hook it up to a modern reverse polarity SMA male
Yep.
to this port. What you'll be doing is you won't actually be making an antenna connection. And this happens on OGs. And so I don't know if you've changed that recently. I've got two OGs here. Again, what I'm talking about is the difference.
Yep.
Oh boy, I can't even see myself.
Oh, these are collector's items.
They're broken.
The difference-
Even
Hold on.
more collectible.
I think what I can do, Jeremy, is I can just show, like, these are the
Yeah,
different.
go for that. Thank you.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
So if you're looking at this now, you can see if you plug an
RP SMA male
Thank
into an SMA female.
yep, you won't have that middle pin connection.
Exactly. And it will screw on nice and tight. It'll feel secure, and you'll have a horrible connection. So I don't know if that's the case here, but that is something that is unique to the very early batches. If you're number 500, you're almost certainly in what I call a side table V1 with the before Helium Inc. switched out and started using the FCC mandated RP SMA connector.
The old side table.
But
Okay.
I don't know, like that could be a distraction. It's just
Yeah,
something to
let's see.
remember.
So since early morning 12:21, only yesterday, the light has been solid yellow, but the Helium app says my hotspot is online. But when checking on it, it says syncing. So Neil, you know I'm going to you and to Helium status because that's the deal. Are you sharing your screen or no? I'm missing it. Oh, you're muted. Oh my God. Did I break something, Neil?
Hang on, sorry,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's me.
What kind of clown show is this?
So
Who's running this thing?
the hotspot is returning a book, but the book has no listen address in it.
What does that mean?
Interesting.
That it's not announcing how to reach it, so no one knows how to reach it. So it's sort of showing online because you can reach it, but then the information it knows about itself is wrong. So normally a reboot fixes that.
Okay. Oh, and Chris came on. He's
yeah.
like, I own the OG you're talking about. I got the right hookup for the antenna. It's been working fine for months. It's just an issue these past couple days.
All right, yeah. So red herring, but worth noting.
Yep, totally.
Yeah, it was earning quite well until a few days ago. So this is clearly a recent thing, and it really could be a peer book issue. I'll use my tools.
So is there a way to fix that, guys, for those of us kind of non-technical? You just like power cycle it or
Reboot.
reboot?
Yeah, just a reboot. And don't use online dashboards if you can. A full power reboot is generally better.
Well, it's an OG. There's no dashboard.
Yeah. If it's for example a Nebra or a 𝗪𝗏𝐴, don't use the dashboard.
Okay, I just did
Because it
something
doesn't
interesting.
quite-
So I tried a peer ping on this one. I'm getting connection refused. So that tells me very interesting. That normally, that doesn't mean the hotspot's off. It means it's actually on, and there's a port mapping set up, and whoever's on the other end of that is actually saying, no, I'm not open for business. Which can happen if the miner's powered on, the operating system is running internally, but it is not able to start up the miner process. And you would see this. So again, like here, I'm going to tell, well, Jamie, if you tell Ned to the address, if you can look it up the peer book, we won't.
Right?
Here,
No, we
send
can't
me IP
connect.
address, but
I think
I get a connection.
I like your
and
yeah,
that's
and I
unusual.
like your diagnosis for that one too, which is someone else mentioned in the chat too that it might just be wear on the SD card, and so it's basically just like faulty software.
Okay, so
Yeah, I think the miner's having a hard time starting up. So there's a procedure talking about replacing your SD card in the SD card based miners, the Helium OGs, the racks, the minted.
yeah.
I think 𝗁𝗏𝗏 might do this. At least for the ones I just mentioned, you can go download the new image and put it on a new card. A whole procedure for that. That might be warranted in this case. I'm seeing evidence this thing's powered on, but the miner process is not running. And if you have a yellow light, that exactly this. So I would try this with the OGs. Again, getting a nice new SD card, putting a new image on it. Don't worry about your old SD card. There's nothing important on there. Everything that defines the miner is in the hardware, especially with the OGs.
Cool. I'll drop
So
that
I
in the
think you
chat
got a
for
bad
Chris.
SD card.
Okay. There you go, Chris. Cool. I think that's going to wrap us up, fellas. That's pretty much, that's all the time that certainly I got. Now, Jamie, you got to catch a flight and do some stuff.
I gotta go. I gotta
Do
go.
your things. So thank you guys for coming on. Thanks everyone for submitting their Hotspot Deliverance stuff. If you guys have better ways of doing this, if you see like, oh, I want this to work this different way, let me know. We're all doing this just basically to help you guys out and kind of help the Helium community out, make sure everybody understands that A, this is a very complex system, and B, there are still ways that you can understand and troubleshoot, sometimes on your own, sometimes with help, and almost nothing is unfixable. So almost nothing. So right on. Thank you guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for chatting, and have a great day.
Oh yeah. Shout out to Nick. Smash
Thank
all
you,
the
everyone.
buttons.
Smash
Shout out
all
to
the buttons.
Jeremy.
All the likes.
Oh yeah, I'll put up all the
Thanks,
little the links here. Let me see. So there's the DY
Smash all the buttons.
Is that where they are?
Business models don't
yeah.
just support themselves.
Yep. Yeah. This show doesn't run. It's not a self-licking ice cream cone yet. So
That's right.
cool. All right, guys.
Always
Thanks,
a pleasure. We'll see you all around.
Thanks, everyone.
Next
Yep.
episode.
Nice seeing.
See you online.